The stars were quiet. The outpost was even quieter. High above a pale planet, a fleet of alien ships drifted in orbit. Their commander, a tall figure with silver skin and narrow black eyes, looked out at the sphere below. Reports had called it abandoned. No life signals. No human patrols. Just ruins from an old war. The crew laughed when they heard the name of the place. Humans had once called it Fortress Vega, but to the invaders it was only stone, dust, and broken towers. Another dead world, one soldier muttered. Humans fell long ago. They were never gods. Only loud animals, the commander smirked. He raised a hand and the fleet descended into the clouds. Their engines hummed, breaking the silence that had lasted for centuries. Below, the planet stretched in white plains of ice and shattered metal. The ruins of human fortresses jutted from the ground like black teeth. Towers were broken, walls burned, scars from an old war still sharp after so many years. The soldiers landed on the surface. They walked among the ruins, their boots echoing. Wind howled through hollow towers. Snow crunched under their feet. One soldier placed his hand on a wall. Strange markings were carved into the stone. They were not alien. They were human. The letters were bold, carved with care, meant to last forever. The soldier tried to read the words. The letters translated into their language, and a voice in the machine whispered the meaning. We sleep. But we remember. The soldier pulled back, frowning. He called to his commander. There are warnings here. Writings left by the humans, the commander laughed. His voice was sharp, echoing through the ruins. Warnings? From ghosts? They are gone. They were beasts who burned too fast. Do not fear them. But the soldiers were not calm. The ruins felt alive. Every wall carried scars, but also something more. Something hidden. One of the ruins hummed. A low sound like stone grinding. The soldiers froze. The commander turned his head. The ground shook. A tower, long thought broken, flickered with light. Old machines buried under ice began to glow. Windows along the walls filled with a dim orange shine. The commander barked an order. Scan it. It is only a machine. Left to rot, scanners lit up the ruins. But the readings were strange. Energy, deep energy, flowing like a pulse. The machine was not rotting. It was sleeping. One soldier whispered, Commander, this is not normal. Something is waking. The commander grew angry. Enough, humans are gone. If this machine still lives, we will break it. The soldiers raised their weapons. They fired into the walls. Stone shattered. Sparks flew. The humming grew louder, not weaker. Then silence. The ruins went dark again. The soldiers laughed nervously. It is finished, but it was not. The ground cracked beneath them. Ice split in long, jagged lines. The fortress shifted like something beneath the planet was breathing. A deep sound rose from below, shaking the air, shaking the bones in their chests. The commander shouted for order, but his voice was drowned by the roar. Machines, old and vast, came to life. Metal doors burst open. Great towers rose from under the snow, glowing with fire. The sky filled with red lights. The soldiers fell back, their helmets flashing warnings. Their scanners screamed one word over and over, human, but there were no humans in sight. Only their machines. Only their memory. The commander's face turned pale. He had heard the old legends, stories whispered in dark halls of his people. Long ago, before his kind had risen, humans had ruled. They were not gods, but something worse. They were war itself. They had vanished, leaving silence. No one knew why. Some said they had killed each other. Others said they had simply gone to sleep. But now, the silence was broken. A voice rang out from the ruins. Not a human voice, but a machine, deep and cold. It echoed across the snow, reaching the fleet above. We sleep, but we remember. The soldiers shook. The commander tried to speak, but the voice continued. You have entered the temple. You have broken the seal. Now the beast will wake. The machines around them rumbled. Old warships buried beneath the ice cracked free, rising on pillars of fire. Their guns glowed ready. The commander shouted, Retreat! Back to the fleet! But the sky was already alive. Human satellites thought to be dead flickered with light. Lasers swept across the clouds. Alien ships exploded like sparks against stone. The soldiers ran. Some fell. The ruins themselves seemed to close around them, cutting off escape. One soldier, trembling, looked at the commander. His voice was a whisper broken by fear. They said humans were gone. They said they were only beasts. But what if they were wrong? What if they were only sleeping? The commander did not answer. his eyes fixed on the horizon, where a shape rose above the clouds. A ship, massive, black, armored like a fortress. It had slept for centuries. Now it soared again. The commander whispered at last, his voice shaking. "We have poked the beast." The ship turned its guns toward them. The sky burned, and in that fire the soldiers finally understood. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was only sleeping. And now, it was awake. The sky was not quiet anymore. Above the pale planet, flames burned where alien ships had once floated. The commander's fleet, proud and strong, was now scattered like ashes in the wind. A few survivors pulled back into orbit, their voices shaking over the comms. "What is this power? The ruins should have been dead." No one answered. They all saw the same thing. Machines long buried were alive again. The fortress pulsed with light, as if the planet itself had a heart beating under the ice. On the ground, the soldiers stumbled through broken streets. Alarms howled from the walls, deep metallic cries. The orange glow from the ruins grew brighter with every passing second. They tried to retreat toward their shuttles, but the path twisted. Gates shut, doors sealed, roads blocked by rising walls of steel. It was like the fortress itself wanted to trap them. One soldier shouted, "It is not ruins. It is a living machine." The commander barked back, "Control your fear. Find the shuttles." But even he was trembling. The machines were not random. They were organized. They moved with purpose. Drones lifted from the snow, their bodies sharp and black. Their eyes glowed red. They hovered above the soldiers, silent. Watching, the soldiers raised their weapons. Their commander held his breath. The drones did not fire. Not yet. They only circled, closing the soldiers in, pressing them like prey. The commander finally spoke. "They are waiting." "Waiting for what?" a soldier asked. The answer came at once. A voice, not human, not alien, but something in between. Cold, clear, echoing from every wall, every tower, every drone. "You are intruders. You are unworthy." The beast wakes for war. The soldiers fired in panic. Beams of light cut the air. Drones shattered into sparks. For a moment, hope returned. Then the drones reformed. Metal pieces pulled together, glowing, knitting back into full machines. The soldiers stepped back, horrified. The fortress was not just waking, it was healing. The commander clenched his fists. He understood now. Humans had not left their world unguarded. They had left behind guardians, machines that carried their memory, machines that would rise if the seal was broken. Above, the surviving alien fleet tried to regroup. But the sky betrayed them. Old satellites thought to be junk, unfolded golden panels pulling energy from the sun. They linked together in chains of light, weaving signals faster than any alien ship could track. One officer on the fleet shouted into the comms, "Commander!
Our systems are jamming!"
They are inside our weapons." The commander growled, "Shut down comms. Go silent." But it was too late. Screens on every alien ship flickered. Human symbols flashed in red across the panels. They translated slowly, painfully into the alien tongue. "You disturbed our rest. You will not leave." One by one, the ships began to shut down. Engines froze. Shields collapsed. Lights dimmed. The commander's chest grew heavy. He knew the stories. His people had whispered of this in secret, never daring to speak loud. Humans had been the terror of the galaxy, not because of their strength, but because of their relentlessness. They never stopped. They never forgave. And here in this dead fortress, he saw it with his own eyes. The soldiers on the ground heard the machines hum louder. The fortress was no longer silent stone. It was alive, pulsing, breathing, and in its heart something was stirring. One soldier dared to speak. "Commander, if the humans are truly sleeping here, then what happens when they wake?" The commander's voice was flat. "Then the galaxy will remember why it feared them." The ground rumbled again. Towers cracked open, spilling molten light. The snow melted in waves, rivers of steam rolling across the land. And from the center of the fortress, a chamber opened. The soldiers fell to their knees as a figure stepped forward. It was not fully human, not yet. A body made of metal but shaped like a man, its eyes burning gold. It looked at them, silent, ancient. The machines bowed to it. The soldiers shook. One whispered, "Is it a god?" The commander whispered back, "No. Worse. It is a soldier." The figure raised its hand. The drones tightened their circle. The fleet above screamed in chaos. The commander's own heart pounded like drums of war, and then for the first time the figure spoke. Its voice was deep, layered with echoes, carrying both human memory and machine power. We remember. The fortress exploded with light. The alien fleet burned, and in the smoke, the legend of humans was reborn. The figure stood in silence. Golden eyes burned like suns in the frozen mist. The alien soldiers froze where they stood, their weapons useless, their courage gone. Around them, the fortress trembled, not with collapse, but with power. The commander stared at the machine man, his throat dry. He had heard whispers in his youth, forbidden tales of a time when humans ruled. They had been described as destroyers, war-bringers, builders of weapons so cruel that even gods would tremble. But he had laughed then. Everyone had laughed. Humans had vanished. Their worlds were ruins. Their name was only a ghost. Now the ghost stood in front of him. The machine raised its hand and the drones fell back, parting like servants before a king. It did not attack, not yet. It only watched, and then the sky above them tore open. A deep boom rolled across the planet. The clouds glowed red as shapes emerged from beyond the horizon, massive ancient ships black as night scarred by wars long past. They rose slowly, their engines howling, their guns glowing with life after centuries of silence. The alien fleet panicked. Voices screamed across comms, "They are everywhere. The whole system is waking." The commander lifted his eyes and felt something he had never felt before: smallness. His fleet was mighty, but compared to these giants, they were insects before mountains. One of the alien officers gasped. "Commander, our archives. They told us humans were many, but not endless. Where did these fleets come from?" The commander's voice shook. They were hidden, sleeping, waiting. The truth fell heavy. Humans had not been destroyed. They had not been erased. They had chosen silence. They had buried their weapons deep across forgotten worlds, scattered through the stars like seeds. And now, with one careless act, the seed had cracked open. The machine man began to walk forward. Each step echoed like thunder across the snow. His voice followed, filling the ruins, the sky, the ships above. We were not gods. We were not beasts. We were human. And human wrath was endless. The alien soldiers trembled. Some dropped their rifles, their hands shaking. The commander held his ground, but his heart was breaking. The voice continued. They called us war gods because they feared what we became. They thought our silence was weakness, but silence was only sleep. The alien fleet opened fire. Lasers and missiles screamed into the sky, tearing through the air. But the human ships did not break. Their shields burned bright, swallowing every strike. Then with one united roar they answered. Blue light slashed across the heavens. Alien ships burst into flames, torn apart in seconds. The battle was not a battle, it was slaughter. The commander's crew cried out in terror. "We cannot fight this. They are unstoppable." The commander clenched his fists. He could not deny it. Every story he had once mocked now stood alive before him. Long ago, the galaxy had feared humanity not for their numbers, but for their hunger. They had always reached further, fought harder, built stronger. They had been called sleeping beasts because once roused, they never stopped until the enemy was ash. And now the beast was stirring again. The fortress walls unfolded, revealing rows of colossal cannons. They aimed at the sky, at the alien ship still clinging to hope. One shot and whole fleets burned. Entire squadrons vanished in fire. The commander whispered not to his soldiers, not to his fleet, but to himself. "We should never have touched this place." His soldiers looked at him with fear. "Then what do we do, Commander?" He had no answer. The machine man finally stopped walking. He turned his golden eyes on the survivors. His voice struck like a hammer. "Your kind has disturbed the temple. You have woken the beast. Now the galaxy will learn again." The soldiers fell back. Their knees buckled. They did not understand. The machine spread its arms and the ruins opened wider. Statues carved into the walls lit up, glowing with symbols of war. The aliens realized with horror they were not in ruins. They were in a graveyard of battles, of ships, of fallen enemies buried as warnings. And now the dead were rising. The commander spoke again, his voice hollow. "This is not just a fortress. This is a memory, a scar, a promise." The machine man nodded as if he had heard. "Yes, a promise that humanity does not forgive, that humanity does not forget." The ground split wide. From the chasm rose a new fleet, larger than any yet seen, thousands of ships, sleek and deadly, their hulls etched with fire. They did not wait for orders. They knew their purpose. The alien fleet screamed as the horizon turned to flame. The commander's last thought before the sky exploded was simple, sharp, and true. This was not a battle. This was a reminder, and the reminder was clear. Humanity's wrath never died. It only slept. The horizon burned. Ships older than memory rose from the planet's surface, tearing free from the ice as if the world itself was giving birth to war. Their engines roared like storms. Their hulls were black iron, scarred and marked with battles fought before the current generation of aliens had even existed. Above, the alien fleet was in chaos. Some ships fired wildly. Some tried to run. Others simply froze, caught between disbelief and terror. The commander's voice thundered across the comms. "Regroup. Hold your lines. Do not let them break us." But his words fell into a storm that no voice could control. The first of the human warships opened fire. A single beam of blue light cut across the sky. It was clean, silent, merciless. An alien cruiser, 3 times the size of the human ship, was split in half. The wreck burned as it fell into the planet's clouds. The soldiers on the ground could only watch. Some cried out, others dropped to their knees. It was not war. It was not battle. It was judgment. The machine man stood at the center of the ruins, his golden eyes watching calmly. He did not command. He did not raise a weapon. He only observed. The warships knew what to do without his voice. They remembered. The alien fleet tried to rally. Dozens of ships formed a wall, shields linked together, weapons blazing. The sky turned into fire. For a moment it looked strong. For a moment it looked like hope. Then the human fleet answered. Hundreds of missiles lit up the darkness, not with speed, but with precision. They did not miss. Each missile bent, turned, found its target. Alien shields cracked like glass. Ships exploded in blossoms of fire. The commander slammed his fists against his chair, his teeth bared in rage. "We will not fall. We are not cowards. Fire everything." The fleet obeyed. Lasers screamed, plasma burned, ion torpedoes streaked across space. The stars were drowned in light. The human ships did not dodge. They did not hide. Their shields flared like suns, swallowing the storm. Some fire struck true, leaving scars, but the ships kept moving. Steady, relentless. The aliens fought with desperation. The humans fought with memory. One alien officer screamed over the comms, "Commander, they are reading our movements before we fire." How is this possible? The commander knew. He did not say it, but he knew. These were not ships of metal alone. These were ships bound to human will, bound to human design. Their minds were not gone. They carried the ghosts of their creators, and ghosts never forgot how to kill. The ground shook again. More towers rose, each one a weapon hidden beneath stone. Cannons charged, their glow turning the snow into rivers. A single blast tore through the sky and erased 5 alien destroyers at once. The soldiers below screamed, their helmets flashing with warnings. One of them shouted to the commander on the ground, "We must escape. There is no victory here." The commander's face was pale, his voice low. "You do not escape a beast once you wake it. You only run until it finds you." The machine man finally moved. He raised his hand toward the sky. The fleet above shifted in formation, like wolves obeying a silent alpha. They turned their guns in unison. A wave of light followed. The alien fleet cracked apart. Ships that had once carried banners of conquest now fell like broken toys into the atmosphere. Fire streaked across the clouds. Pieces of burning metal rained into the ruins, hissing as they struck the snow. The soldiers covered their heads. The ground shook with every impact. One soldier whispered, "This is not a war. This is a cleansing," another answered, voice trembling. "No, this is revenge." The commander looked up one last time. His fleet was gone. His power was ashes. Only fragments remained, trying to flee into the dark. The human ships let some run. Not many. Just enough. The commander realized with horror why. "They are letting survivors go," he muttered. "So the story will spread." The machine man turned as if he had heard the words. His golden eyes burned brighter. His voice rolled like thunder. "Yes, let them run. Let them speak. The galaxy must remember." The drones circled tighter around the alien soldiers. None dared resist. None dared move. The fortress itself glowed, its towers shining like torches of war. It was alive now, fully awake. The planet was no longer ice and ruins. It was a citadel, a temple of vengeance. The commander stared at the machine man and finally spoke. "What are you? A man, a god, a ghost?" The answer came like a blade. "I am human memory. I am the wrath you chose to disturb, and I am only the first." The commander's knees gave way. The soldiers behind him lowered their heads. They knew it now. Humanity had not died. Humanity had not been defeated. Humanity had only been waiting, and the first strike was only the beginning. The stars had changed. Where there had once been silence, now there was fire. Where there had been ruins, now there were fleets. Humanity was awake, the survivors fled. Scattered alien ships limped into the void, their engines broken, their signals faint. They carried no victory, no pride. They carried only fear. Fear of what they had seen. Fear of what they had woken. The commander's own ship was crippled. Hull scorched, shields broken, weapons gone. He stood at the bridge, staring out the viewport. Behind him, his crew moved like ghosts, too numb to speak. Every man and woman knew the truth. This was no simple defeat. This was the rebirth of a nightmare, and in the distance more human ships emerged. Not from the fortress, not from the planet, from the void itself. Old war fleets hidden in black space were lighting up one by one. Signals spread across the stars, carrying ancient codes. The language was human, sharp and iron-strong. Machines answered the call. Forgotten stations powered on. Beacons long thought dead began to shine. The commander's heart sank. He understood now. The fortress was not alone. It was one of many. One soldier broke the silence. "Commander, what do we do if they come for us?" The commander's voice was flat. "They will come. Not just for us. For everyone." On the planet below, the machine man raised his face to the stars. His golden eyes glowed brighter than ever. The drones bowed low. Towers hummed with energy, feeding into the ships above. He stood like a prophet at the dawn of something greater. He spoke again, and his voice carried across every channel, every ship, every soldier still alive. "The beast does not sleep anymore. The beast rises, and when it rises, the galaxy will kneel." The survivors trembled. Some begged their commanders to shut off their radios, but the voice still bled into their ears, into their hearts. "You called us beasts. You called us gods. You called us demons. We were only human. But human wrath is more than you can endure." The commander closed his eyes. The words felt heavy, final. The human fleets moved as one. Thousands of ships sliding into formation, silent, perfect, unstoppable. They did not chase every survivor. They did not rush. They advanced slowly, steadily, like a tide that could not be turned back. In every corner of the galaxy, whispers began to spread. Survivors carried the tale. The beast had woken. The humans had returned. Civilizations that once laughed at old legends now fell silent. Children were told stories of fire not to frighten them, but to prepare them. The galaxy had believed humanity was gone, but humanity had only hidden its claws. Now the claws were sharp again. On the ruined planet, the commander stood with his remaining soldiers. The drones kept them alive, but not free. He looked once more at the machine man, at the golden eyes that watched without mercy. He dared to ask, voice cracking, "Will you kill us here, or will you make us slaves?" The answer was colder than death, neither. "You will live. You will run. You will speak. And when the galaxy hears your story, they will understand. Humanity has returned." The commander fell to his knees. His men followed, not in worship, not in respect, but in surrender to something too vast to fight. Above them, the human fleets roared. Blue light filled the sky. Another alien colony far beyond sight burned. The war had already begun. The commander whispered to himself a final confession. "We thought they were gone. We thought time had ended them. But time was their weapon. Time was their sleep." The machine man turned away, stepping back into the fortress. The towers closed behind him, sealing like the doors of a tomb. But the light within never faded. The galaxy had woken something it could not control. And in the cold silence of space, an old human signal repeated over and over across every star. Across every system, we sleep. But we remember. And now we rise. The commander lowered his head. He knew there was no hope. The beast was not only awake. The beast was hungry, and it would never sleep again.